Better Call Saul is closing in on perfection week by week, just as Breaking Bad did at the end of its fourth season. There is so much to talk about. Bad Choice Road had some incredible moments, very revealing moments, and I think the best place to start is at the very beginning. So let's get into it. Not many TV shows, or even films for that matter, can pull off split screen, but per usual, the creative minds behind this show pulled it off, and it was incredible, not only for the comedic moments, but for really emphasizing the relationship of Jimmy and Kim. They are together in almost every scene this episode, and Jimmy and Kim are essentially one entity at this point. In almost all the scenes when they're together, we see how much Jimmy means to Kim. And for the longest time, I thought she would end up leaving him, and we even see her leave her mom when she was younger, when she felt threatened, but that's clearly not going to be the case here. When Kim agreed to the vows at their marriage, till death do us part, those weren't just words to Kim. I think it's pretty clear that Kim is going to be Jimmy's last line of defense until the very end. Mike wearing shorts and a t-shirt, that was something I never thought I would see. Seeing him out of neutral colors, it just felt so strange, but it was pretty amusing. It was a nice lighter moment. It harkens back to the scene in Breaking Bad. I can't remember when it happened. I think it was after Victor got killed, but when Walt and Jesse have to buy clothes and, it just looks really strange. It reminded me of that, but it was a pretty funny scene. After the money is delivered, Lalo reveals the reality of Jimmy's situation, which we already sort of knew. It doesn't matter where Lalo is, Jimmy is now his tool. Jimmy is a man who can be pushed around and bullied and blackmailed with no real threat of retribution, and Lalo understands that, so continuing their relationship is a no-brainer for him. Also, being in shock, Jimmy was not at the top of his con game. I'm pretty sure Lalo was onto him after he told the story for the first time. And Lalo was a really tough guy to fool anyways, but in that condition, Jimmy just was not able to sell the story well enough. Jimmy returning to Kim was a really touching moment, just seeing how badly she wants to take care of him and how badly Jimmy wants to protect her from the life he's found himself in. He was right to be upset about her decision to go see Lalo. It was definitely a mistake. He shouldn't have mentioned it to her in the first place. But when Kim says, "I won't see Lalo again," that was the show kind of telling us, yeah, she might not see him again, but he's definitely going to go see her. And Kim finding the cup with the bullet hole, that was just a heartbreaking moment because it was her gift to him, and this is really the moment when Kim wakes up and realizes the dire situation they're in and how it could potentially destroy their relationship. The line Jimmy delivers at the end of that scene, he says, "That's what it's all about," in reference to the money he got for the job. That is a pure Saul line from Breaking Bad, and it's an extremely ominous line given that the money is next to the cup, a symbol of his relationship with Kim. The cup has been shot, the money survives. Money is really what Saul values most in Breaking Bad, and I don't think that could be possible in a world with Kim still alive. We also get the revelation that it was Bolsa plotting against Lalo, trying to keep him in prison. That was surprising, and Gus is the man lining his pocket, so it makes sense. But it's definitely not going to ease any tension in the cartel. Lalo is running out of allies here with Tuco in prison and Hector incapacitated. So Gus is certainly in the driver's seat at this point, but Lalo is not the type of guy who's going to go down looking, so he'll definitely be making plays in the season finale. One thing I really appreciate about this episode is how the writers gave us a lot of time to see the mental state of Jimmy, and credit to Bob Odenkirk because in every scene, especially when he goes into the courthouse, you can see the events doing circles in his mind. And a lot of times you'll see in a show with mediocre actors, the writers will make the characters say exactly what they're feeling. But apart from Jimmy's scene with Mike where he asks, how long this feeling is going to last, they depend on cinematography and the lighting and Bob Odenkirk's acting ability, and it really paid dividends. Kim quitting her job was not too shocking. It was the right move for her, and Jimmy is the center of her world, so I think she realized after what happened, she would need to be in her best state of mind to take care of him and maintain the relationship, and she would not be in the best state of mind working for Mesa Verde, that is for sure. And the fact that she takes the vodka top with her at the end, it's a symbol of their relationship, and it shows us exactly why she's leaving her job behind. We get another awesome scene with Hector and Lalo this episode. Hector with the birthday hat on was just, I really enjoyed looking at that. But apart from that legendary image, we learn that Eladio is at the center of Lalo's plan. He's not getting any help from Bolsa, that much is clear. So Eladio is his chance to forward his agenda. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but he's going to give it a shot. And also, Tuco back in 11 months. That raises the possibility of Tuco returning for season 6, which would be incredible. After the finale, we'll see if they set up a return, but they did not have to include that line, so I suspect we could be headed in that direction. Then when Lalo and Nacho go into the desert, maybe I'm the only one, but I was getting some bad vibes, like one of them was about to be wasted. There's just something about that desert atmosphere, it just feels like death. But then it just leads to Lalo finding Jimmy's car, and by the way, very nice jump from Lalo. I was impressed by that. He is not the sort of guy who just slowly drops into things. When he does something, he commits to it, so I enjoyed that. But the discovery leads to what I would say is probably the best scene in the show, maybe tied with Chuck's scene in Chicanery. It's just perfection, in a different way, of course. The scene was much more intense, and I rarely feel nervous during any movie or TV scene, but this one had my heart going, no doubt about it. When Kim was standing in the hallway looking back to Jimmy, I thought the door was already open, and I thought she might get shot, and thank God she didn't. But Lalo going in there and turning on his usual psychopathic, I'm your buddy, that routine, it was just frightening and unsettling, especially with Jimmy pleading to him trying to get Kim out of there. A couple days ago, I watched the movie The Lives of Others, and it's a great movie. You should definitely check it out if you have not seen it. But that film starts with a scene of an investigation where the investigator keeps on asking for the story over and over again because he says that if the answers don't change, it's a rehearsed response which you can't trust. And I think that was what Lalo was sort of trying to do, although Jimmy was slick enough to change his story up a little bit. Obviously, the stories can only go on so long because Lalo brings out what he knows about the car, and then the confrontation shifts. Kim knows that her and Jimmy have their backs to the wall. If they stay on the defensive and keep on denying, they're probably going to die. And like she did with Kevin earlier in the season, she goes on the offensive. She tries to create doubt in Lalo's own mind about his crew and paints a very clever picture, which is, we're not your problem here. You pick Jimmy because you can't trust your own people, so we're just the little lawyer people. We're not at the heart of your problem. It was really the only play she could make, and Kim kept her composure well enough to pull it off. Kim was fortunate she was dealing with the thinker of the Salamanca family and not a reactionary like Tuco or Hector, who just would not take that level of disrespect. And Jimmy was smart enough to recognize that in season 1 while dealing with Tuco. He had to be incredibly gentle. But Lalo, for all of his brutality, he will accept the truth when he hears it, and that lack of trust in his own people, it was a major issue for him. When Lalo leaves eventually, we see Kim tremble, and it just shows it really was a last-ditch play from Kim. I don't think she even believed it would work. Now, Mike had an eye on her, so maybe he could have prevented her from being killed if Lalo decided to make a move, but if she didn't stand up to him, I think there's a good chance he tries to kill her. For the season finale, which I cannot wait for, I imagine we're going to see Lalo go off to Eladio and try to convince him of something. Again, I'm not sure what that's going to be, but it makes the most sense. And then we're going to get the fallout of the confrontation, which is going to be fascinating because there's no way they can just go back to their lives after that. But if we learned anything from this episode, when it comes to protecting Jimmy, Kim is either coming back with her shield or on it because she will fight for him to the very end. And sadly, one of these episodes, I think she's going to come back on the shield. If you enjoyed this video and my predictions, which will, in all honesty, probably be 30 yards wide of the target, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll definitely have a video on the finale and predictions for season 6, so watch out for those. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully, I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.